Good afternoon. In this video, we are going to present to you our analysis of the Hito Evaluativo I with my classmates Javiera Rocha and Isidra Sandoval. We are going to talk about an English teacher in a municipal school case. First, I'm going to present to you the contents which will be covered in our analysis. First, the educational context of the students. Second, the students' profiles. Third, the teacher's role. And fourth, the impact of the way he teaches. And finally, the conclusion of the case. To summarize the case and contextualize, Mr. Zapata is the only English teacher in the school. So he has to be in charge of all the classes. Also, the students have problems with their mother tongue. So Mr. Zapata believes that if they don't know their first language properly, they will never learn a second language. Additionally, he doesn't use necessary teaching methodologies and he doesn't develop more abilities in their students because from his point of view, they don't like writing and they don't understand what they listen to in English. This situation leads to students having insufficient performance for their levels. Mr. Zapata doesn't face the problem adequately since his classes only encourage low motivation in his students. However, he demonstrates in his evaluation tools at the end of the case and he incorporates items to improve other skills.
The general objective of this presentation is to analyze the case of an English teacher in a municipal school in the Bio region. The specific objectives are: first, define the main problem in an educational establishment, in this case, Mr. Zapata's school. Second, analyze and defend our point of view related to the case. And third, indicate our suggestions to improve the teaching methodology based on our knowledge of these 2 years of the major. The educational context of the students is the following. The students come from socially and culturally disadvantaged backgrounds, and their families have low educational levels. For this reason, many of them receive support and benefits from the government to be able to study. Also, it is important to mention that each class is made up of 43 students.
The students' profiles. We can comment that the majority of the students want to complete their secondary education and begin working, while only a small number are interested in pursuing further studies. Besides, the ability of some of them to communicate in Spanish is quite limited, and it is important to mention that they exhibit significant behavioral challenges and face some learning difficulties. In this case, it's not only Mr. Zapata's responsibility, because there's supposed to be a Spanish teacher who is in charge of improving their communication skills in their mother tongue. So, if the students are not able to communicate correctly, that means there is also another teacher who's not doing his job properly. And what is Mr. Zapata's role? This is a summary of Mr. Zapata's role. According to Article 10 of the General Education Law, it is the duty of education professionals to perform the teaching function in an appropriate and responsible manner, provide vocational guidance to their students when necessary, update their knowledge and evaluate themselves periodically, research, present, and teach the curricular content corresponding to each educational level as established by the curricular foundations and the study plans and programs, respect both the rules of the institution where they work and the rights of the students, and maintain a respectful and non-discriminatory relationship with the students and other members of the educational community. As we can see in this case, this role is not being fulfilled as it should, as he is not teaching all the necessary skills for students to develop completely in the subject. This means he's not being responsible with his function as a teacher. A way he could improve in his role is supporting his classes and evaluations with pedagogical resources such as Curriculum Nacional, which shows everything a teacher needs to ensure that students learn everything they are supposed to. Also, he could implement behaviorism in the classroom because the use of positive reinforcement encouraged desirable behaviors, fostering a positive learning environment. Additionally, behaviorism emphasizes measurable outcomes, allowing educators to assess student progress and adapt instruction accordingly.
But how does he teach? He bases his opinions on the superficial thoughts of his students because he thinks that if students don't know how to talk well in their mother tongue, they will not know how to talk in a second language. Also, he works on basic skills, for example, teaching basic vocabulary, simple grammatical structures, and even translating into Spanish short paragraphs. Related to that, we have some suggestions. First, promote active learning, where students can or attempt to have a conversation in order to receive knowledge from their classmates. And second, adapt the approach to the students' needs. The teacher must take into account that their students don't have a strong foundation in English, so they should teach according to the students' knowledge and gradually help them progress. Based on the didactic guidelines of the Ministry of Education, the work of teachers is a process in constant construction with a social, contextualized, ethical, and transformative character.
How are Mr. Zapata evaluations? Well, Mr. Zapata designs different evaluation instruments and tries to improve the students' motivation towards learning English. Their students' performance is not high enough. Many of them fail oral assessments or presentations in front of the class, probably due to inadequate preparation and a lack of emphasis on oral skills in class. Even if he has incorporated other elements such as listening comprehension and paragraph writing, it is quite possible that most students will fail as listening skills were not developed during the lessons and writing was not practiced enough because, as Mr. Zapata said, students do not like to write. And he also said that they did blah, 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 blah. De nuevo. How are Mr. Zapata evaluations? Mr. Zapata designs different evaluation instruments and tries to improve the students' motivation towards learning English. Their students' performance is not high enough. Many of them fail oral assessments or presentations in front of the class, probably due to inadequate preparation and a lack of emphasis on oral skill in class. Even if he has incorporated other elements such as listening comprehension and paragraph writing, it is quite possible that most students will fail as listening skills were not developed during the lessons, and writing was not practiced enough because, as Mr. Zapata said, students do not like to write, and he also said that they did not understand what they heard. This situation cannot be accepted because these skills are fundamental for their full development, and if they do not master them, then their language learning will not be as expected and will not be what they need for their complete understanding of the language, which could, to a large extent, help them with their future work.
The student's performance in the case is described as very low, and this is evident since Mr. Zapata's negative beliefs about his students, such as assuming they lack motivation, that they will not learn English, and that they are incapable of engaging with socio-cultural aspects, are creating several detrimental effects. We would like to highlight three aspects: lack of motivation, low expectations, and cycle of failure. Regarding the impact of motivation, for students already facing socioeconomic challenges, the teacher's beliefs may increase their lack of motivation to pursue higher education or opportunity beyond school. About low expectations, when students sense their teacher has low expectations, they are less likely to exert effort, internalizing the belief that they are unable to succeed. According to our research, a teacher who is motivated will make more effort in the classroom to impart knowledge to his students in order to influence their behavior in the most desirable and positive way. Teacher motivation is so important to students' achievement because it explains why teachers behave as they do in their various schools. And cycle of failure. Mr. Zapata should encourage his students to recognize their strengths and focus on what they can do instead of what they cannot do. When teachers believe in students' abilities, they create a supportive and stimulating environment to create empowering students and reach their potential. By changing Mr. Zapata's mindset could transform not only his teaching but also his students' lives. To conclude, several issues frequent from municipal schools were revealed. Although we can understand Mr. Zapata's condition of being the only English teacher of the establishment, his actions must not be imitated in order to create functional and successful individuals for society. As future English teachers, we should be conscious of the impact that we will have in our students' lives.
Here are our credits. And finally, the references. Thank you for watching.